If you have missed Craig Hafer's speeches about diet and health, do not despair. Tess Whitty feels obligated to pick up the slack here. Thank you, Tess. Thank you, also Holly. I think she's helping out as well. She has been interested in health and diet since her teens and was inspired by Craig's speeches. With a family history of both cancer and heart disease, she felt compelled to dig a little deeper. In today's speech, she will focus on dairy and its link to cancer. This is Tess's project number 7, research your topic. Her objectives are to collect information about the topic from several sources, support points and opinions with facts, examples, and illustrations. Time is 5 to 7 minutes, and the speech is entitled, Can Milk Promote Cancer? Please welcome Tess.
I had no idea, Holly, that you were going to speak about health too. Let's just dig into health today. So, can milk promote cancer? That's a question I have been researching a lot lately. We have all heard and grown up with the notion that milk is healthy for us and we need it to get strong bones. However, research lately has shown that milk is actually, well, protein and milk in particular, can actually promote cancer growth. I want to start with illustrating this with a story about a woman called Jane Plant, which I read about in an article in the Evening Standard on the internet. And when she was 42, she had no family history of cancer when she was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1987. This is before many of these studies on the link between cancer and milk. 6 years later, she, after being through hell and back with surgeries, a mastectomy, 12 sessions of chemotherapy, 35 radiotherapy treatments, she still had a lump the size of an egg sticking out of her neck. And it was now going to be stage 4 since it had spread from the original place to the lymph nodes. And the treatments did seem to have no effect on this lump. One evening, when her husband returned from a business trip from China, he's a scientist, they were discussing and they were musing over why so few Chinese women have breast cancer. The incidence of this disease in China is 1 in 100,000 compared to 125 in 100,000 in the United States. After pondering about this for a while, they concluded that the Chinese women don't use dairy in their diet. And after this, she immediately eliminated all dairy products in her diet. She had nothing to lose. And within days, this lump began to itch, and then soften, and then shrink, and 6 weeks later, it was completely gone. The doctors, after checkups later on, several years, they were all amazed. They couldn't believe what they saw. She had been so sick, and now it was gone. I looked her up on the internet, and I just found out that she has just turned 70, and she is still healthy. So why is this? This is what the researchers have found. First of all, milk contains hormones linked to cancer. Apart from large amounts of both estrogen and progesterone, milk also has something called the bovine growth hormone. This hormone is injected in cows on a weekly basis to promote growth so that the cows will grow faster and bigger and produce more milk. This has been used in the United States since 1993 when it was approved by the Food and Drug Administration. But the use of this hormone is not permitted in Canada, in the European Union, and and many, or a few other countries at least. The other finding is that milk protein, also called casein, which you might remember from Craig's presentations, is linked to cancer and other chronic diseases. I'm focusing on cancer here. In the China study, a book published by Dr. Colin Campbell in 2005, he presents the impact of animal protein on health. In his research and his colleagues' research, which they've done research for over 40 years, they found that casein, which is milk protein, promoted cancer in all stages of its development after initiation. And also that the amount of cancer growth could be controlled based on the amount of casein in your diet. The third finding is also that the animal protein has a bigger effect on cancer growth than the actual carcinogens. And carcinogens are the substances that produce cancer. The food we eat affects how our cells interact with these carcinogens. And the results from the studies show that nutrition is much more important in controlling the cancer promotion than the actual carcinogens. So let's illustrate this with a chart from the book. In one of Campbell's earlier studies, the researchers gave rats a high dose of a known, very potent carcinogen called aflatoxin and fed them different amounts of animal protein. Some of the rats received 5% of their calories from this animal protein, milk-derived protein, and the other rats received 20% of their calories from animal-derived milk protein. And the findings were that the rats that only consumed 5% of the total calories from animal-derived protein only had 1/5 of the DNA enzyme activity and 1/5 of the chromatin binding activity, and both these activities cause cancer cell formation, compared to the rats that received 20% of their protein intake from animal or milk casein. Furthermore, when they switched this 20% of the milk-derived animal protein to plant-based protein, the effect was the same as for the rats that received only 5% casein. So the rats that had 20% of the protein calories from plants, here you can see the big red one is the casein, milk protein. The other is the same amount but gluten-based protein, the blue, and the orange is the same amount, 20% soy-based protein. And the other in comparison is the 5% casein. And none of these protein, 20% protein calories showed any cancer growth. So the interpretation of this is that a dietary protein formula known to support infant growth in one species may increase the risk of toxic consequences when it's chronically consumed by another species. And humans are the only species that continue to consume milk after infancy. And not only that, we consume another species' milk, even as adults. Campbell and his associates are not alone in this conclusion. Cancer researchers have been looking into the link between dairy consumption and cancer risk for many years. Already in 1997, a review was published by the World Cancer Research Fund and the American Institute of cancer research that found the cancer risk was parallel with the milk consumption in many studies. So I find these results very interesting. While they're supported by many other researchers, they are of course also both debated and minimized by the dairy industry. I leave it up to you to decide whether to believe this and take action or not. But personally, with a father who got prostate cancer at age 50 and a mother who died of a severe form of lymph node cancer at age 60, I feel I have nothing to lose and I will eliminate dairy from my diet. Thank you.